What's up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to part 2 of the Back to Basics series, where we're taking it back to the basics and giving you guys basic knowledge that will help you to achieve your perfect face makeup in 2024. If you haven't seen my last video, we talked about skincare and the importance of skin prep and how that is the most important step. Your makeup only looks as good as the base that's underneath, so if you haven't checked out that video, you definitely should. In today's video, we are going to be discussing something equally as important, which is what the heck kind of foundation do I want and what is my shade? Walking into a makeup store these days can be extremely overwhelming because there are so many different brands. It can also be a little confusing when you walk into these places and you see so many different shades to choose from. So hopefully in today's video, my tips will help you to be one step closer to picking out your perfect shade of foundation and just your perfect foundation in general. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we have to consider is what type of coverage are we looking for? When you think about the type of makeup that you want to wear on your skin, what does that look like? There are typically 3 different types of coverage to consider when you're choosing a foundation. You have a sheer to light coverage foundation, medium coverage foundation, and then full coverage foundation. This is going to be really important in deciding what you want your makeup to look like, because that will help to clear out a lot of different options if you can solidify the type of coverage that you're looking for. Just to give you a really brief breakdown on the different types of coverage, if you're someone that likes light to sheer coverage, that means that you like something that looks like your skin. I don't know why this analogy comes to my mind, but I always think of sheer curtains for some reason. It's just a light wash of color that might cancel out any discoloration or really give your face more of an even look, but it still very much looks like skin. The next category is medium coverage. Medium coverage is dead smack in the middle of sheer to light coverage and full coverage. It is going to give a lot more pigmentation on the skin. You're still going to see bits and pieces of your skin peeking through, but it's not going to be as sheer. It's going to pack a little more of a punch than the sheer to light coverage is going to. And then full coverage, baby, is going to be full coverage. Full coverage foundation is typically the most pigmented foundation, which means it is going to cover the most and it's going to cancel out the most. So if you're someone that likes to cancel everything out and you want to start with a clear blank slate, then I feel like full coverage is going to be for you. Full coverage does not always mean cakey or heavy. I know people hear full coverage and they think,
oh, I don't want that, that's too much, it's too cakey, it's too heavy.
Full coverage is not always really heavy. You have brands like Jouer that have a high coverage foundation that are liquid like water, but they have so much pigmentation. So those are the different types of coverage, and it's important to note here that we're all gonna have different preferences. You could even be a mixture of all 3. You might be like, okay, I like sheer in the summer and I like full coverage in the winter, and that is totally okay, and that's totally on you. The beauty of us all being individual is we have individual preferences. So pick something that you know that you're going to like. Me personally, I like a medium coverage foundation because I can build it up if I want to make it full coverage, or I could tone it down a little bit and just put couple dots here and I can get a sheer coverage out of it. All coverage means is really how much pigment is in the product, not how heavy is this gonna look on my skin, because it's gonna look different on everyone. We all have different skin types, different skin textures, and so that is something to take into consideration. So that's what to think about when you're thinking about the coverage of your foundation. That's really going to help you to narrow down your options when you know what kind of coverage you're looking for. The next part that we are going to discuss is the most important part of foundation, and it's probably the most difficult as well: choosing the right shade. Let's talk about choosing your skin tone or skin depth. Here's an example of how foundations might be categorized. You have a fair, light, light medium, medium, dark, deep, deepest. That's typically how you will notice a lot of foundations are set up in stores. The thing is that makes it a little complicated is that you may be one depth in one foundation, but in another foundation brand, you might be another. When you look in the mirror, whatever you decide that your skin tone is, that is the category that you want to laser focus on when you're picking out your foundation. So that is the first part of choosing the perfect shade. The next part we're going to be discussing is your undertone. There are so many different undertones out there, but today we're gonna cover the 3 umbrella undertones. It's an umbrella because under each undertone is literally and more undertones. There are 3 umbrella categories of undertones. You have warm undertones, cool undertones, and neutral undertones. Here are a couple of different ways to identify your undertone. First, I want you to think about the type of jewelry that looks the best on you. If you look best in gold jewelry, it is said that you have warmer undertones. If your skin tone goes the best with silver jewelry, then they say that you have a cool undertone. Now, it gets complicated when both look really good on your skin, then it says that you're a neutral. Another way that you can identify your undertone is by the color of your veins. If your veins are more on the greenish side, then they say that you're warm. If your veins are on the purplish bluer side, then they say that you're cool. And if your veins fall somewhere in the middle and have a mix of all of them, then you are a neutral shade. Another way that they say you can tell your undertone is based on how your skin reacts to the sun. If your skin burns but doesn't tan, then they say you're a cool undertone. If your skin tans but doesn't burn, then that means you're warm. And if your skin burns but then it turns into a tan, then they say that you're neutral. Based on those 3 different types of ways to figure out your undertone, that should help you to get closer to understanding what your undertone is. This does get a little complicated because based on the tips that I just gave you, that would make me a neutral undertone. However, I mentioned that neutral and warm and cool undertones are only blanket terms, so they're not like a one size fits all. For me, over the years, I have discovered that I'm not actually truly neutral. I am more of like an olivey, golden neutral undertone, which means that I can't really wear a true neutral because too much pink will show up on my skin or it might pull a little gray. But I also can't wear a truly warm foundation because then I look orange. I do understand that I am a little bit more of a complex undertone, and that may be your story as well. So with you, it's going to be a little bit more trial and error of different foundations that are going to help you to find your perfect shade. I still recommend, if you have the opportunity, to go into a store and ask for guidance and help when it comes to shade matching. But if you can walk in with those couple things, with the knowledge of what type of coverage you're looking for and your skin tone and your skin undertone, you're one step closer and you'll be able to find your perfect match or something close to it. Once you've identified your skin tone or skin depth category, it's time to shade match yourself or have someone shade match you. Typically, you'll want to choose between 2 to 3 shades to test out on your skin. I know a lot of people like to test their skin like the back of their hand or the inside of their wrist. I think that the more comfortable you get with shade matching and knowing what your shade is, then these methods are okay. But the recommended way to actually shade match yourself is to shade match yourself from here on your cheek down to the neck where the jaw is. So you'll want to shade match here because this is going to give you the smoothest blend and see like if your neck and your face are going to match. You want to match your neck and your face because you really don't want to be walking around with darker foundation or lighter foundation. If you get something that doesn't necessarily match the best, make sure you're blending it down to your neck. But if you want the perfect foundation, definitely go in with no makeup on, take 2 to 3 shades of foundation and put them next to each other and blend them out. Whichever one kind of disappears into the skin is going to be your closest match. So I'm gonna show you guys right here what I'm talking about. Here I'm taking 3 different shades that are pretty close to each other in depth and that seem to be my undertone. I'm going to put these on my cheek. I'm going to blend each one of these out and whichever one disappears is going to be my perfect match. So as you guys can see here, this one seems to be my perfect match based on the steps that I just gave you. So that is really it. I know that shade matching and finding your perfect shade of foundation and finding the perfect foundation can be a challenge, but hopefully today brought you some really good tips and tricks on how to find that perfect foundation for yourself. And just another note, like it's not going to be 100% every time. You might have to try a couple different brands, different shades and different types of coverages to really find your perfect foundation base. But every single one of us has in mind the type of makeup look that we like and what we want our skin to look like. And it's really important to be true to yourself and also think about what it is that you want to see so that you can go in and know exactly what you're looking for. So I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment below if this helped you to find your perfect foundation or got you one step closer. I would love any feedback that you have. So go get them. Good luck finding your perfect shade, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.